And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis. You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis. You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Good morning, Car Clinic affiliates. Your Car Clinic minutes for the week of January 7th, 2019 are about to head your way. So go ahead and press the record button. As always, thank you for broadcasting and listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Have a great weekend.
Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Winter vacations, skiing, sledding, hot chocolate in the lodge. But no such luck for transmission repair technicians. When I come back, I'll tell you why winter snowstorms keep transmission shops busy.
O'Reilly. When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Transmission shops are busiest after a heavy snowstorm because, think about it. What do we do when we're stuck in snow? If you said rock our cars back and forth from low gear to reverse, you're right. Unfortunately, for our cars and our wallets, we rock way too hard, resulting in overheated automatic transmissions and damaged universal joints. So the next time you're stuck in snow, easy does it. And remember, if you're really stuck, a tow truck may be cheaper than a new transmission. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. It's the new year and a great time to restart your computer. No, I'm not talking about your Dell, but when we come back, some advice for reprogramming the hard drive in your head with Road Smarts.
O'Reilly.
When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Reprogram last year's bad driving habits with Control, Alt, Delete. Control Road Rage. Road rage is more deadly than the My Doom worm, but it's a virus you can prevent from replicating. Alternative vehicles, like Harleys and Suzukis, leave screaming cycling speeds to your Pentium 4s. With your increased numbers, 100% over the last 5 years, comes giga responsibility. Delete drunk driving. 1.5 million Americans were arrested last year for being under the influence, and one alcohol-related crash happened every half hour. Come on, Control, Alt, Delete accident fatalities this year and arrive safely at home. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. A friend asked Henry Ford, "Soy, what you been up to?" To most people, this has been a greeting, but to Mr. Ford, it was an idea. I'll tell you how he used his noodle when I come back.
O'Reilly.
When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Henry Ford's known for great ideas, but he really used his bean on this one. Soybean, that is. During the Depression, Ford's chemists focused on converting agricultural products into industrial products to stimulate the farm-based economy. Enter the soybean who, in My Fair Lady style, was transformed from dirt-poor roots into the plastic of star car parts, like horn buttons, gear shift knobs, and body enamel. Soy wouldn't you know? Ford didn't stop there. He also developed a soy wool-like fabric that cost half of sheep's wool. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Achoo! Uh-oh, it's cold season again, and we aren't the only ones whose joints ache. When we come back, I'll tell you how to prevent pain in the body, automotive.
O'Reilly.
When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Just like human bodies, automotive systems are also challenged when the mercury drops. For example, your car has CV joints which connect transmission to wheels, like your hip joints attach torso to legs. People are born with the fluid that lubricates this connection, and cars come with it from the factory. But over time, both can lose it due to age or injury. CV joints are especially vulnerable in winter when their protective rubber boots are brittle and tear more easily, allowing precious lubricant to leak. To prevent the blues caused by broken joints, include CVs in your winter inspection. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Brought to you by Royal Purple Synthetic Oil, the performance oil that outperforms. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Baby, it's cold outside, but you're not the only one who's shivering. Slip on your down jacket and hang out a while, 'cause when I come back, I'll tell you how to rescue your car from the cold.
O'Reilly.
When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
If the dropping mercury has your vehicle frozen and your temper boiling, keep your cool by keeping cold. C-O-L-D. C. Before your morning coffee, check your vehicle. Wind defrost and ice door locks mean more time getting ready to go, so start early. O. Open frozen doors by heating with a hairdryer or use de-icer on the lock. L. Lights are important, so brush snow from both front and rear lights. D. Defrost the windows and warm the interior, but after you start the engine, back your vehicle out of the garage. Carbon monoxide fumes could really put a chill on your day. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Count down to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll-free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome to this first edition of 2019. Just think about that. You know, it hasn't been but a week ago. We said this is the final show of the year. Remember that, Fabio? And so here we are, fast forward 1 week, and I hope you had a great holiday and a safe, happy New Year. For me, it was one of those that was kicked way back, laid back, which is a good thing. I did give a chance to kind of take a short trip or two in my nice automobile. I'm driving my nice automobile, and it sure feels great to be able to get into a vehicle and push the button. There you go. I started to say turn the key, but there is no key. No keys. A fob. We have a key fob. Whoever dreamed up what a what does a key fob stand for? F-O-B. You know what that means, Fabio? No.
I do not.
I do not. Okay. Jonathan?
That's me.
That Jonathan do some homework there. Bobby Likis Car Clinic has brought you this great first show of 2019 by Johnson Controls. Get this, folks. Johnson Controls is the world's largest producer of automotive AGM batteries, which are precision engineered to meet the electrical demands we put on today's vehicles. Think about that. The world's largest producer of automotive AGM batteries. And with cars going into the EV, the electrification, that's a big deal. Proud to be partnered with Johnson Controls. You can learn more at autobatteries.com and learn more when I come back. Time for another edition of Cooling System Q&A brought to you by Motorrad, your first choice for vehicle thermostats and caps. Why is the thermostat so important? Cooling system regulates engine temperature and helps prevent overheating. While it's comprised of several components, the thermostat plays a critical role with efficient cooling system operation. It must regulate coolant flow properly to maintain a specific engine operating temperature in addition to providing quick warm-up. Motorrad's new stainless steel thermal element Ultrastat is unmatched for corrosion resistance. Its revolutionary Reax wax mixture provides quicker reaction time. The Ultrastat also features bilinear valve technology, which prevents thermal shock to cooling system components, gradually increasing coolant flow versus instant maximum flow found in traditional thermostats. The Ultrastat precisely controls engine temperature to ensure the lowest emission standards, maximum fuel efficiency, and terrific interior cabin comfort. The Motorrad Ultrastat line is the perfect thermostat upgrade option with coverage for over 160 million vehicles on the road today. Motorrad, leading the way in coverage and service. Cooling systems take a beating when it gets cold. We recently had a customer come in with a 3.5 Chrysler engine with a cracked head. Parts and labor totaled just under $3,000. We suggested K-Seal, and it worked. You've heard me talk about K-Seal before. It's a simple pour-in solution added directly to the radiator when cool. You then run the engine till the leak is stopped. K-Seal isn't just any stop leak. It's a certified leak repair and preventative formula designed and tested to stop cooling system leaks. K-Seal features a ceramic technology which makes it non-clogging but highly effective. Engine temps range from -20 to 220 above in just minutes. It's during these times that cracked blocks and heads fail. We've had customers who were ready to scrap their vehicles, then tried K-Seal and were able to continue driving their automobiles. Log on to K-Seal for more information, including videos and the many different applications. Don't just seal it, K-Seal it. That's kseal.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Another lending success story from LendingTree.com.
Car dealers like playing games. They play percentage points, they play markups, but I don't like playing with my money. So I got my auto loan through LendingTree.com. I filled out one simple form, a marketplace of banks and lenders competed over it, and I got 4 offers back within hours. After all, the car buying game is a lot easier to win when you're holding all the cards.
LendingTree.com. When banks compete, you win. For additional information and state license disclosures, please visit our website located at lendingtree.com.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Okay, let's get started. It's January, it's 2019, and it's a time for us to learn a few things about the automobile that we depend on to go from point A to point B every day. And so what I thought I would do is put together a list of today a few things that you need to know that you can do for maintenance and to provide you with a safe automobile without going to a shop. Now, that's kind of an oddity for me because I'm a shop owner. And we'll get into that a little bit later in today's program. But first, I'm going to take you on a little trip to Daytona Beach. Daytona Beach is a beautiful city on the East Coast. It's actually on the East Coast of Florida as well as the East Coast, if you know where it is. There's an East Coast of Florida and a West Coast of Florida because the peninsula, the way Florida is shaped. Really quite beautiful state. I guess of all the states, it's the most unique. Is that such a word? I guess it is. Terry Sabiston, Motorsports Director for our Car Clinic affiliate, longest running affiliate and still active with us today, WNDB 1150 AM News Talk Radio. Terry Sabiston, Happy New Year and good morning.
Happy New Year, Bobby, and all the listeners out there. It's a beautiful day here at Daytona International Speedway. It is a new year, and we've already we've got our boots on the ground here at Daytona International Speedway, and we love that sound. Let me see if I can crank the noise up here a little bit.
Okay.
Bring a little bit of sound to you as they ride by. So.
As they ride by, who's riding by? What's on the track?
Right now, Weathertech Championship Series practice is going on. You got every kind of car, the Daytona prototypes, the GTDs, just the whole series is out here practicing right now. Just rolled off the road right at 10 o'clock sharp. Probably about 40 cars out here. Off to my right, I'm right by the horseshoe. They're downshifting and going in one of the slowest parts of the track, probably down to about 40 miles an hour. And then right out in front of me, I'm looking at turn 2, and they are accelerating up to almost 200 miles an hour as they go by, headed down the backstretch. So right here in Daytona National Speedway, it is the kickoff, the roar before the Rolex 24, and you can hear the roar is on. We got Porsches, Ferraris, Cadillacs, Acuras, BMWs, Mercedes, you name it, Corvette. There's a pretty yellow Corvette riding by. It's a beautiful day at Daytona National Speedway.
Now, you mentioned the Rolex 24, so for those folks that are tuned in, knowing that this is an automotive show, but most people that tune in really want information about their automobiles, and a lot love the entertainment section of what we do, and so we try to combine entertainment and information and call it infotainment, which is really what we provide. So to that end, explain for those folks who may not be aware of just what's involved or what 24 hours of racing means. Choose one of those cars out there or one of those grades of cars, and tell us a little bit about the automobile itself and what happens for the duration of 24 hours.
Well, I'm gonna pick out the BMW because I got to come out and ride along in a BMW M850i street car on Thursday, and took a few laps around the track and learned about the technology involved that starts here on the racetrack and gets to the street cars that we drive. And it was a phenomenal car to be out taking laps with Tom Polinsky from BMW. Just an awesome ride along. Took us out and ran a couple laps. Took 5 minutes to run 2 laps around the 3.56 road course. 0 to 150 and out of sight before you can imagine. The handling on it was amazing. Well, the technology is unbelievable on the street car. He had been out for about 45 minutes when I got into the car. And he said, let's check some stuff. And he starts pushing buttons. tire temperature, tire pressure comes up on a screen on the dash.
That is amazing, and so that the driver can actually see if he has a right front, or depending on the turns, folks, a right front or a left rear tire that is hotter than the other tires. And I mean, do they go so far, Terry, as to making the chassis adjustable by the driver's control?
I didn't see that, but I was only in the car 5 minutes. But it was a lesson of agility, speed, and handling. As I said, the driver had been out there about 45 minutes and taken about 5 or 6 other people. So by the time he got to me, he was warmed up, and we were hitting the inside of the corners, and I mean, just really tight driving. A lot of just amazing how fast he got the street car up to, and then compare that to the race cars that are out here that are topping out at about 200 or a little over 200 miles an hour coming through the tri-oval and headed down the backstretch. And that's the other thing. This road course is 3.56 miles. You come off the tri-oval and you dive into the infield, and there's a mile course in the infield with hairpin turns on both ends, and you're jumping over 100 miles an hour in between those turns. And then you go out onto the super speedway, and that transition from the flat track infield to a banking super speedway is just unbelievable. That you got wide open corners to where you can actually race through those corners and maneuver through those corners. But then you head down the backstretch, and as you're heading down the backstretch, and I'm not used to this, there's a barrier in the middle of the track down there toward the end, and he's accelerating fast, hitting about 160 miles an hour, and then you realize he's going to hit the brakes hard, and you've got to literally, they call it a bus stop because it's hard braking from 160 down to about 50 miles an hour, and then you're back at it again, back to the tri-oval through 3 and 4. It was an awesome ride, but the technology that they've put in these race cars, and I learned that they have radar in these cars that lets you know, in the race cars, that lets you know who's coming up from behind you and how fast they are and who's in front of you and how fast they are. So the technology, aircraft technology, has now moved into the racetrack race cars.
And to that end, and telematics are involved too, folks. And that's one of the things that you will see that's already here, but you will see and hear more and more about telematics, because that's a single, if I could choose one part of today's technology that's taking us forward with the automotive repair and service, is telematics. And telematics means whether you are a driver on the racetrack there at Daytona Beach, as Terry is right now today, or if you're driving your car in Kearney, Nebraska, and you stop at a traffic light and the check engine light comes on, the telematics on your stock car will send out and reach out to your local dealer and say, by the way, Bobby or Terry's check engine light is on, and we will be able to diagnose your car on the fly as you are stopped at a traffic light in Kearney, Nebraska. That's what telematics is. And Terry, it's just another sign of how today's technology is making a safer car, a car that for those of racers in Daytona, they can be able to maximize the speed and depend on the brakes and depend on the radar to say when another car is near them. And those same advantages of expanding our personal ability to do a better job are going to be on every day of today's cars. And it's exciting to me. What about you from a standpoint of transferring all of the technology that you see right there on the Daytona International Speedway to the car that we pick up on the showroom floor? I think it's phenomenal.
It's amazing. Like I said, I got to ride in that BMW, and you walked away with an amazement of what the technology that had reached that. I mean, just the tire temperature, the handling, the brakes, and everything. And he was running hot laps. It was not just take us for a ride along around the track. It was as hard and as fast as he could go in that car. And that's what this 24 hours is about. They do that for 24 hours with race cars, as fast and as hard as they can go.
So, Terry, is that BMW street car, is that a racer that's going to be part of the track, or is it just a show car from BMW for testing?
You can go buy one.
Hello.
The race car is the 850, but the M850i, this is the new 2019, and this is a street car. And we were hitting 160 on the backstretch, and then dropping down to 50 miles an hour through the bus stop and then back up to 155, 160.
I can hear it.
Back through the trial.
I can hear it now. You bought this new BMW. You've had it about 2 weeks. You go back to the dealer on a Monday morning after a weekend of fooling around, and you complain to the service desk guy, yeah, I got this issue. I got a little brake vibration at about 160 to 65, and also my brakes seem to fade after about the fourth turn. And so, what are the old school guys going to do when they say, "What? Yeah, are you kidding? No." Well, so how's the weather? How's the weather?
We're a little cool this morning, which means the cars are going a little faster. I noticed when they first pulled out at 10 o'clock that they were a little slow getting the tires warmed up because they've had some incidents on cold tires. Right. But the first lap or so, there was some guys that were hanging down low and wanted to make sure they had hot tires before they dove into these corners at high speeds. But we're running I think we're in the 50s this morning and maybe get up to 60 today. It's going to drop down, be cool tonight. We got night practice tonight under the lights going from 6 to 8. And this roar, if you have tickets to the 24 hours, you get in free to this. And if you don't want to buy tickets to the 24, it's $15. Infield parking's free. Wow. It's a great day to come out to Daytona International Speedway.
It is a great day.
$15. Come on the infield. I'm out here. You're going to see the NDB van out here all day, but this is a dream come true. We got a race today. The LMP3s are going to be a 3-hour endurance race starting at noon, and we've got qualifying going on this weekend for every group, with the prototypes, the GTDs, all of them, and that set the pit box.
Gotta go, man. Thank you so much from Daytona. Love you. Appreciate it. Happy New Year. Heated seats, backup cameras, and start-stop technology. Just a few of the electrical demands we put on today's cars. AGM, or absorbent glass mat batteries, are up to the challenge. They're precision engineered to offer the ultimate combination of power, durability, and reliability. Short-distance driving means your battery is not fully recharging. AGM batteries are more efficient than traditional flooded batteries when partially charged. They consume less power from the alternator. AGM, the better battery for today's vehicles. Learn more AGM advantages at autobatteries.com.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
The months between October and February top the list for accidents, damage, and injuries. And while safety technology on today's vehicles is great, it's no match for Mother Nature. CarStar is the authority on winter driving accidents, repairing thousands of vehicles each year damaged in snowy, icy conditions. Here are a few winter driving tips courtesy of CarStar. Check visibility. Add de-icer to your windshield washer fluid. Make sure your wipers are free of ice and all mirrors are clear, and check vehicle lighting. Slow down and stay back. Drop your speed to a safe limit and leave extra distance between your vehicle and the one in front of you. And if your rear wheels skid, take your foot off the accelerator and steer in the direction you want your front wheels to go. If your front wheels skid, take your foot off the gas and shift to neutral. As you skid sideways, the vehicle will slow and traction will return. Find more safety tips at carstar.com. At CarStar, they don't just repair cars, they repair your car.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
The airlines like to have sales. Summer getaway sales, holiday sales, winter sales. Truth is, at any moment, some airline somewhere is on sale with low fares to great destinations. Travelocity knows exactly what's going on, who's on sale, to where, and when, at over 700 airlines worldwide. We even have this nifty feature that lets you look at a calendar so that you can see exactly the days the great fares are available. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere. AOL keyword, travel.
Hun, guess my temperature.
It's 2 a.m. Go to sleep.
Come on, one guess.
Higher, 98.
Higher.
Higher, 99.
You're getting warmer. Wait, I'm getting warmer.
Cold symptoms keeping you from getting a good night's sleep? Get NyQuil. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever so you can sleep better to feel better medicine. Use as directed.
One more guess.
100?
Yes. Tell her what she's won, Bob.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. A time ran out there on our good friend Terry Sabiston and me. We had the hard break coming up, and which helps us to move along on the program. But it's so exciting, and folks, if you'll just think about, and I've been on this track in Daytona, where Terry was talking about, where you go down the front stretch, across and past the stands, and into turn one, but you don't go into turn one. Instead, you slow down and nail the brakes and go into the infield, and there's a little chicane there and a hard right turn, and then as you come back out of the infield, you come out, and it's like a ramp, because there's as I think, a 33 degree or some close to 31, 32, 33 degree bank on the track. So as you come out of the infield, which is flat, you're looking up at this bowl, because indeed number one, number two turns is a bowl that allows the NASCAR and the 24-hour enduro cars to zoop around and change directions. I mean, you're going 200 miles an hour and you turn left. That's really basically what it is. Well, in this case, you come out of the infield on a flat terrain, and then you go into and up on the access to turn one that puts you into turn one, about turn 1 1/4, I would call it. And then you go through the turn and out turn two, and accelerating as hard as the car can possibly go, because you've got that G-force and you're trying to push the car fast. Next thing you know, you're going down the backstretch 160, 170 miles an hour, and there's a barricade, as Terry said, at the other end, down at the bus stop. And literally, it's just amazing to me. And what's amazing is that the traction control, the surface conditions, the brake size and brake material, and even the rubber compound are all specifically and specially designed for that purpose. And that translates to the cars that we drive on the street. And I'll give you an example. My tires, and I'm going to New York and take a call from Brent next. So Brent, don't go away. My tires on my car last 24,000 miles. I can't rotate them because they're offset. They're larger tires in the rear than in the front, so there's no rotation on the tire. So when you have a car that has high-performance tires and two different size wheels and two different size tires on the front and back, you better do all you can do to maintain proper pressure and also to drive with some civility so that you don't round off the corners, because there's nothing you can do. If you're a hard corner taker, you're going to round the edges of the tire, and what you might do is pump up the pressure a little bit. I said all that to say that there's some things that happen and some specific designs of racetracks and what race drivers and pit crews do that you can apply to the very car that you have without having a race car or the 800 series BMW street car that Terry was talking about. And talking about buying one, yeah, I can assure you that's a six-figure automobile. Let's go to New York, take a call, and then we'll take your calls. Hannah's in the house. In fact, Happy New Year to my crew, to Fabio, to you, and to Hannah, and to Jonathan Sloan. The three of you do a fantastic job day in and day out. You don't get any glory for it, so I want to welcome you to the new year as my team that really, and Fabio, I really appreciate your timing. I mean, I know that it's 29 and 05, 6, 7 after the mark, and what that means to me is that I know when to get out for the brakes, and I know when to move on, and also we keep this time for all of our Car Clinic affiliates. We are, and I've never said this on the air, I said it often in our post-show meetings, we are the most time perfect broadcast on radio. I believe that. Each 2-hour program from 10 till noon Eastern Time, it bookends within 0.2 of a second. Thank you. That's a hell of a statement to be able to make, and I get the timing, and that's important to me because of my drag racing days when 0.2 of a second meant a year's worth of work and thousands of dollars and sleepless nights, and every time you went a half a hundredth faster or half a tenth faster, that was a big wow, and it still is. Brent, New York, you're the first up. Well, Terry was the first up, but you're the second up for 2019. I got to say that. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you in the house.
Thank you very much, Bobby. It's an honor to be second up.
Well, thank you, sir. What can I do for you?
I have a 2013 F-150 with the 3.5 liter EcoBoost.
Okay.
And I've been cruising the Ford forums and reading about catch cans. They catch sludge and debris coming out of the engines.
Right.
And I was wondering if they are worth the installation.
Well, that's okay. If I'm speaking to the Brent, who is a car guy and loves and appreciates the technology and wants to change a few things on his vehicle, then my endorsement of catch cans is absolutely yes. But if I were to answer that as Bobby Likis, host of Bobby Likis Car Clinic, so that thousands of people could hear my answer, the answer was no, and here's why. You cannot redesign an automobile that is created with emissions control and keep that car within the emissions standards that manufacturers are relegated to follow. I mean, we talk about, I mean, with not catch cans, but we talk about Diablo Sport and Super Chips. We talk about those tuners that allow you to get 115 more horsepower out of your F-150. And so how could they possibly come up with a program that the manufacturers can't? Here's a basic line, Brent. Why do manufacturers create a vehicle and design an engine and deliver it to you and hold back 100 horsepower? Well,
so they can boost it up next year.
That's part of it. I agree. That's part of it. But year after year after year, in fact, if you think about it, and I've often made that same statement that you just did, Brent, year after year, that you've got a four-cylinder that's 212 horsepower. Oh, now this 213 horsepower. Now it's 230 horsepower. So you'd say, well, wait a minute. After about 5 years of that same engine, but what they do is they change the engine, start over again. So there's always that room, that headroom, and always that stored up horsepower for marketing. That's what you just said, and I agree 100%. You're right, dead on. However, also they are restricted by emissions rules and regulations, and they can't run the timing and the fuel curve like it should be. And I'll give you a perfect example, Brent. My Viper, it would red line at 6,200 RPM. It's a 488 cubic inch engine, 450 horsepower. It's an 01 model vehicle, a monster to drive, literally a bear, riding bull. That's more like it. So at the RPM reached 4,500. Now 6,200 was red line. When it reached 4,500, the fuel would richen up, and the timing would retard, so that if you were to be running wide open, and say at 5,500 in fifth gear, at 180 miles an hour, the engine would not make as much horsepower because it would not burn a piston or deliver all the horsepower available, because it couldn't do that and stay in the emissions control, because the higher and the hotter the flame in the combustion chamber and the higher the octane, then the more nitrides of oxygen are produced, and that's emissions. But getting back to your catch can, here's a problem that I have with that. Who's going to change the catch can, and what are you going to do with what comes out of the catch can?
Well, I would empty it, and I guess depending on my local regulations, dispose of it at the proper waste management facility.
Right. Well, but you know what that means? That means a kitchen sink with a or worst. I mean, and you know this, Brent. I mean, you're a car guy, obviously. The fact that he knows about a catch can means he's a car guy, folks. Now tell the folks in your words, what a catch can does.
Using a vacuum from the engine, it is pulling the sludge and debris that's created in the combustion out of the engine and into the can to prevent it from building up on the backs of the valves.
Yes. So in other words, it's the black lung disease that we talk about, and it's all of the fuel system cleaners that we promote and have used and work, well, except for direct injection. Of course, now your car has direct injection, but the 17 had two-port injection. You know, it had direct injection and port injection because there was no. Well, wait a minute. Ford had, and all direct injection cars have, as does the car that I drive, have a propensity to build carbon on the back of the intake valve because the fuel is directly injected into the combustion chamber, so there's no liquid fuel that washes the back of the intake valve. And the back of the intake valve is where it has breathed all of the vapors, that, as you're talking about, those raw vapors that turn into sludge and turn into coked up carbon. I mean, it's just amazing. And that is a major issue. So I had a gentleman call one day, Brent, who said, yeah, well, here's what we need to do. We need to invent a system that destroys and burns up and incinerates all the sludge and put it like a catch can, but you catch the vapors before they go back into the engine or into a can and destroy them. I said, well, so good. So invent one and then get it approved by the EPA. Well, that's as far as that conversation went. That's easier said than done, you know. But anyway, I like the idea of catch cans. That's a new to the U.S., but you know it's not new to the U.K.
Okay.
I don't know where you got your information, or in fact, what catch can company have you looked into, and are you considering?
Oh Jesus, I don't have it here in front of me.
Okay, that's all right.
I found it on an F-150 forum.
Yeah.
And before I even went looking into individual companies, I decided I'd ask you first.
Well, I think it's explorable, and I think it's a good idea to explore. But you know, here's the bottom line: just like every engine really needs an accumulator, so that when you turn the key on and fire the engine, well, there's the hard brake. So, Brent, I'm going to ask you to stay, and folks, I'm going to ask you to call 888-227-2546. I want to tell you one point about an accumulator and oil pressure when I come back. We recently sat down with Kate Searlick, Global Product Management Lead with Johnson Controls. Kate talked about the advantages of AGM batteries, noting they outperform traditional flooded batteries when partially charged, a key benefit if your normal driving consists of shorter trips. Let's hear from Kate.
Today's charging systems are not negatively affected by installing an AGM battery, and no modifications are needed for the alternator or the charging system. In fact, an AGM battery actually performs better when partially charged than a standard flooded battery. This means if you're not driving long enough distances to fully charge the battery, an AGM battery more efficiently performs and not consume additional power from the alternator. We were able to validate this in fleet testing we conducted in Las Vegas, where we witnessed AGM batteries providing up to twice the service life of a standard flooded battery.
AGM batteries help meet the electrical demands put on today's vehicles, and Johnson Controls is the world's largest producer of automotive AGM batteries. Learn more at autobatteries.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Waking up can be a chore, but mornings knocking on my front door. Know just what I'll do. Put on a pot of Folgers brew. Mountain grown aroma hits the spot. Helps me give all that I've got. An opportunity to start out smiling and happy. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
I'm privileged to be involved with Capstone Adaptive Learning, formerly known as United Cerebral Palsy, for over 25 years. Since 1953, Capstone has provided quality care programs for persons with developmental disabilities like autism, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, and intellectual disabilities. Dr. Sherry White with her team are dedicated to Capstone's clients, and 100% of your contributions stay local to serve those in this community. Go to capstoneadaptivelearning.org to see the difference Capstone makes.
Technology moves at the speed of innovation, and today, that's lightning fast. So when you get your hands on the latest tech, don't forget to do the right thing with your old devices. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old tech device as easy as purchasing new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the responsible recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find lots of tips to simplify your recycling, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Television sets, video game consoles, smartphones, tablets, they're all recyclable. Don't let them clog up your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org. You're sharp enough to get the latest tech tools into your home. Now be responsible enough to get your old devices to the recycler. That's greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this edition of 2019, January 1st show. It's been an interesting show so far, and we're going to, shift gears along the way this year and put some new segments into the program. But we're talking with Brent in New York about catch cans, and I see that a gentleman from Washington, all the way from New York to Washington State, Mike, has called in about catch cans. So, what we'll do here, which I love to do, Fabio, let's depress our conference button, and then when I give you the cue, we'll conference Mike in. And gentlemen, Brent and Mike, Brent is in New York and Mike is in Washington. Remember that anything that you say is going to be live, so try not to walk on and talk over each other and or me. So to that end, I'll guide you, and folks, this should be really interesting. So, Brent, you called in about catch cans, and then we now have migrated to my final point before the hard break came up, and that was oil accumulator. Are you familiar with an oil accumulator?
I'm not.
Okay. Well, think of a canister like a miniature fire bottle, that's the shape of a fire extinguisher. And then let's make that out of an aluminum, extruded aluminum or machined aluminum tube. Let's put a piston in it with a spring, and that spring has, maybe 100 pounds of pressure on it. And then you crank the engine up, and the engine oil pressure goes directly into that accumulator and fills that accumulator with pressurized oil as you're driving. Now, all it means is you've got a reservoir of oil that is under pressure. It doesn't mean you have any more pressure, or it has nothing to do with the lubrication of the engine, because it is nothing more than a balloon that fills up, and then when you turn the key off, of course, it all that pressure escapes and goes out. You understand?
Yes.
Okay. So what an accumulator does is it has a check valve that closes, that is normally closed. So when you turn the key on, the key opens the check valve. When you turn the key off, it closes it, which means that when the engine is shut down, boop, it traps that accumulated volume of oil. And you could have the volume as big as a tire, or you could have a volume as small as a water bottle. But somewhere in between is what would be the normal. So what that means is you've got this pressurized container of oil stored, so that when you push the button to start the engine or turn the key on, as it were, immediately this pressurized oil floods the engine, so the engine is never started without oil pressure. Because unlike our hearts that run 24/7 or we die, an engine's heart doesn't start until after the engine gets out of bed, after it comes to life. So to that end, my other than the electronics on my car, which is a 13 Jag V8, lots of power, I love it, gas mileage, all the good stuff, it really is, outperforms even my expectations even today after I've had it 5 years. This vehicle has the noisiest timing chains of any engine I've ever heard that was new and still has the same noise. And every time I crank the car up in my garage at home and I put my windows down at night, I hear the chains echoing off my walls of my garage. It is just grates me to listen to that, and it's no worse after 2 weeks. I mean, if I go on a vacation, it's no worse 2 weeks than it is overnight. So an oil accumulator it should be a priority for car guys, because indeed, if you hear an engine going and knocking, if it's loud enough, the chains and the gears are loud enough that you hear it audibly in the passenger's compartment, just think how much noise it has to be on site, gear to gear or chain to gear. So for me, an oil accumulator. Now, so if I'm that adamant about it, why don't I have one on my car? Because we used those on race cars years ago. Well, the reason I don't is because I'd have to run plumbing to that engine. I'd also stand the chance of, if my plumbing were to leak, I spray oil under the hood. So, and there's no room under the hood anyway, and then there's no available oil port, no way to get into the aorta of the engine, except for the oil sender switch, and you know what that is, right?
Yep.
Okay. So you'd have to put a T. Of course, we've all done that. And every time you add another connection to a hydraulic unit, you stand the chance. You multiply the risk of leakage. That's why when a lady called last week about her brakes or her neighbor's brakes, I said, well, anytime you have, and it was an Indiana car with rusted brake lines, I'm sure. Anytime you have a brake line replacement, you better replace the line assembly, not sticks, not buy 2-foot sticks and bend them and put unions to put them together, because you multiply the chance of any leakages. So therein lies my philosophy over time, because when people modify things, they don't necessarily modify them correctly because it's not a fixed environment and it's not a manufacturer's, and they don't have the resources to make sure that what they're doing is a solid way to modify what's already a pretty complicated machinery. Does that make sense?
That does make sense. Yeah, I understand.
Let's put Mike on the air. Mike is in Washington about catch cans. Now, Brent from New York, you're still with us, and Mike from Washington, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. You're joining us.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning. So
I've been running. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go, Mike. It's your time.
I've been running an oil catch can on my 2005 Scion XB now. Since about 2008, when it had about 80,000 miles. I commute with this car roughly 5,000 miles a month, so it gets a lot of road miles. And I noticed I was getting a buildup on the spark plugs of like oil residue, chunks of junk. And, it had always, since day one, used just a tiny little bit of oil.
Right.
And it's geared low. Rev is real high on the highway.
Mm-hmm.
It just seemed like it was beating the oil out. So put an oil catch can on there, and I could not believe the amount of gunk, stinky, milky white residue, especially in the wintertime, that I was getting out of it. I'd have to empty the catch can typically twice between oil changes. And after running that thing for, I think I was changing the plugs about every 30,000 miles, just that one 30,000-mile run of running that catch can, it came out clean. And I noticed my oil was cleaner when I changed it. And all I did with my catch can was drain it into my oil bucket. I do my own oil changes and just recycle it with my used oil. And I've had zero complaints. That rig's at 310,000 miles now.
Well, it's really, now see, you bring credibility to the catch can because you've had experience. So your OJT, as we would call it, on-job training and hands-on experience is a plus for that. One of the things, and Brent, did you have any questions for Mike?
No, what Mike said makes perfect sense. My situation for driving is a little different than his, whereas I don't have to commute with my personal vehicle. So I put maybe 5,000 miles on a year at most.
So here's, and Mike and Brent, here's another little caveat to that. And Mike said the magic word, but I don't think many of you caught it, about the condensation factor. See, you had that milky. So the fact that you had milky, I mean, it's common. And that milky comes from the fact that when you fire the engine, and of course you're in Washington State, so you're in coal country as is Brent. So no matter what you drive, every time you crank the car up, that first 15 minutes, you're creating, the first 5 minutes or so, you're creating tons of moisture in the crankcase, which dilutes, which pollutes, which deteriorates all of the liquid, because oil and water don't mix. And I can tell you right now, that's the kiss of death, water in a lubrication system. And so you've actually seen it, and to that end, and I'm of course anal about my cars. To that end, I can pull the oil cap off of my car, and I do this often as I check the oil. I change the oil every 5,000 to 6,000 miles. 7,000 is a choke threshold, never more than 7, and I use synthetic oil. And I pull the oil breather cap off, and sure enough, in the oil breather cap with a perfectly healthy vehicle, there's a yellowish or dark brown hue, just like if you were to take a mirror and spray a tint over it, and then a light tint, and then another light tint, and there's a coating on the plastic oil filler cap on the inside. So I talked with a technical director, a tribologist, an oil specialist, and I said, what is that stuff? And he said, well, Bobby, you must take short trips. I said, I do. I'm 3.9 miles from the home to the studio here. So the oil never reaches a temperature. He said the uppermost part of your engine is the oil breather cap, and the vapors and the condensation rise and collects inside the oil breather cap. And so no matter what circumstances, Brent, your driving is different from Mike, and Mike, yours is different in Washington from Brent's. There's always that condensation factor. So it sounds to me like the CAT scan. Where did you get the CAT scan, Mike?
Believe it or not, my first one I just built myself out of an oil water separator for an air compressor, because I couldn't find one readily available back then. But now they're pretty readily available.
Well, you do realize that the PCV system on an engine creates a certain amount of leakage that affects the air-fuel ratio. You familiar with that, Mike? Mike? We probably lost him. Okay, so Brent, having said that, the connection between the oil pan, and folks, we'll move on from this topic, but just for you to know, it's important because it affects every car that you drive out there. The positive crankcase ventilation system, and Brent, just in closing, the pressure that blows by the compression rings that's inherent in every internal combustion engine pressurizes the crankcase, and then the oil vapors that collect along with that pressure has to go somewhere, or it will blow the seals out because that pressure builds up. So that pressure is routed back into the mouth of the engine, and that engine sucks those vapors from the bowels of the engine, and that's where all that trash comes from, and all that, and of course that's emissions. So if you put a catch can, unless it's designed properly, and we lost Mike, and that's why I wanted to ask him about this, you upset the balance of leakage from the crankcase back into the engine. So in other words, here's the point. If the engine takes a breath, one breath, and you measure the amount of air that comes into the engine specifically, which every car does, it's called cubic flow of air, every cubic inch of airflow. If you measure the airflow with an air mass sensor, and then you drill a hole in the side like a cigarette, and then your breath, you're also drawing false air in, because that's another source of air, the air from the oil crankcase. You get where I'm going?
Yes.
Okay. So therefore, when you set the air-fuel ratio program and design the program that the car runs on, the air-fuel ratio, that has to be part of the formula, part of that equation. So when you, Brent, or Mike in Washington affects that equation by, as he did, making a homemade catch can, he's upset the air-fuel mixture, and I guarantee you, and that's what we're going to ask him, if his check engine light has come on, because there's a change in the airflow in his engine, and if the check engine light comes on and he has another issue and that check engine light comes on and he knows it's on because of the catch can, he doesn't have but one check engine light that covers a myriad of problems. So he could have oxygen sensors bad, he could have injectors bad, he could have just a plethora of problems and never know it because he knows the check engine light's on, he thinks, because of the catch can. So therein lies, and I thanks for folks for staying with us for this hour, because therein lies, Brent, the real end result of you modifying your vehicle. It's not modifiable in a garage basis. It's modifiable if a known business entity, like, say, for instance, a Diablo Sport, and this is not a sales for Diablo Sport, it's a fact, it's modifiable if a manufacturer. So I would just say to you, Brent, on a catch can basis, make sure that when you buy the catch can and you talk to technical guys, and which I would absolutely recommend you do before you modify your F-150, make sure that you ask about, how does this affect the air-fuel ratio? Will it make my check engine light come on? How do you offset the fact that you're modifying or changing the vacuum in the crankcase of the engine because you're putting it into a can that is an external factor and not a round robin? Anyway, very interesting, Brent. Okay. Thanks for staying with us, and Happy New Year, my friend.
You too. Thank you very much, Bobby.
Thank you. Folks, that's all the time we have for this year. I have a table of contents from the carcare.org site that next hour I want to share some of the really neat things with you that you just need to know. It's just something that's unbelievable. In the meantime, this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic was brought to you in part by K-Seal, the one-step permanent multi-purpose system for coolant leak repair, including head gaskets, engine blocks, water pumps, and radiators. You can learn more at kseal.com. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
All batteries are not created equal. Don't trust just any battery for your vehicle. An Optima battery has up to 3 times the life of a traditional flooded battery. Optima batteries are constructed with 99.99% pure lead, meaning additional power, quicker recharging, and corrosion resistance. Additionally, each Optima AGM battery is maintenance-free and completely sealed, preventing acid spills. Optima batteries, the ultimate power source. Learn more at OptimaBatteries.com. That's OptimaBatteries.com. It's time for another Berryman Hestimonial, where everyday drivers share their experiences with products featuring Hest, Berryman's exclusive high-energy solvent technology. The result is a more complete combination of available chemical technologies. James was having all sorts of issues with his vehicle, lagging, choking up, dying at idle. 1 can of B12 Chem Tool and a 60-mile round trip later, the engine was, his words, purring like a kitten. Learn more about Berryman products and their Hest technology at berrymanproducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
If you're familiar with the cultivated section of the newspaper, you probably understand this message quite well. You see, in the cultivated section, everything gets abbreviated. Consonants, vowels, prepositional phrases, the very building blocks of our language are thrown right out the window. And that makes it difficult when you're trying to sell your car. You've got a limited amount of space to work with, and by the time you abbreviate the description of your car down to a couple of fragmented sentences, it sounds less like a car and more like a Bluck sedan with sniffed like new condition lemurs. No wonder more people are selling their cars through eBay Motors. They can post unlimited text and photo descriptions, and with a nationwide marketplace, they're likely to sell it for more. Plus, both parties can be covered by eBay's vehicle protection program. Buyers are happy, sellers are happy, and no one's abbreviating. eBay Motors, a better way to sell your car.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Count down to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And a special welcome to this second hour of January's first program, Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If this is a program that you've never heard before, I'm a car guy. I also am a small business owner for some 47 years in the automotive repair and service. Our businesses are located in Pensacola, Florida, along the beautiful Gulf Coast of Florida. The business, 47 years. This broadcast, this is our going on 28th year and going on 48th year in business. So it's a call-in car talk program, but it's not a techie type. In other words, if you're a female and you want to know more about or what questions to ask your local service provider when you take your car in, I'm your guy. I'm going to share with you information that, number one, you just can't get anywhere else. I know because I'm in the business, so I see both sides of the aisle. It's a very interesting broadcast, and sometimes we get a little too deep into technical. I try not to do that. I will share with you that this program is brought to you in part by our partners at the Car Care Council. And when I come back, I'm going to share with you the table of contents that I talked about last hour about their terrific car repair and car maintenance guide. Meanwhile, 888 Car Clinic is my number. Call me. This car repair spotlight brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. This week, we had an F-150 in with 125,000 miles and extreme brake noise. Our inspection determined it needed new pads, rotors, and one wheel bearing. So we reached out to our local O'Reilly Auto Parts professional, ordered the Brake Best pads and the Brake Best Select rotors. We chose the Brake Best Select rotors because they're factory painted, which stops the normal rust and corrosion seen on rotor hardware. During the brake job, we made sure to treat the caliper slides with Seal Glide so the calipers move freely, pads wear evenly, and the brake pedal has that firm feel. Disc brakes can feel a bit spongy when the caliper has any corrosion or rust buildup. Bottom line, new brakes should work just like the vehicle's brakes did when it came off the showroom floor. This F-150's owner was happy to have his truck back, roadworthy and on time. Another great reason our first call for parts is O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. We recently had an 09 Honda Pilot come into the shop with 169,000 miles on the odometer. The vehicle owner said the cabin was starting to smell like coolant, and he was concerned. Upon closer inspection, we found a heater core leak. Choices were to keep the vehicle and make a repair, which at best is half a day's labor plus parts, or sell the vehicle and buy a different used car that could have its own set of problems. We presented a third option, K-Seal. You've heard me talk about K-Seal before. Well, I don't just talk about it, we actually use the product in our service shop. It's a pour-in solution designed to stop leaks and help prevent future leaks. Other sealers use sodium silicate, which has a tendency to clog the system. K-Seal features ceramic technology that's designed to repair the leak without clogging. Our customer went with K-Seal, and 1 month later, no more leak. Learn more about K-Seal at kseal.com. Don't just seal it, K-Seal it.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Another lending success story from LendingTree.com.
Car dealers like playing games. They play percentage points, they play markups, but I don't like playing with my money. So I got my auto loan through LendingTree.com. I filled out one simple form, a marketplace of banks and lenders competed over it, and I got 4 offers back within hours. After all, the car buying game is a lot easier to win when you're holding all the cards.
LendingTree.com. When banks compete, you win. For additional information and state license disclosures, please visit our website located at lendingtree.com.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And good morning. Welcome to this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. So over the holidays, our local O'Reilly Auto Parts store brought us down some really neat gifts. It's an O'Reilly Auto Parts keychain. I'll hold it up for you. I hope you can see it there. It's in front of me. Those of you on watchbobbylive.com, it's just a simple little one of those little rubbery keychain that is neat. Says O'Reilly Auto Parts. And then also I've attached it to a knife, a little miniature hunting knife. I say miniature. I'm not a knife guy, so I don't know that much about whether I know it's not a big, Bowie knife, okay? But it's about the blade, about 3 inch. It's a little bit, the blade is longer than from the joint to my thumb. So I have 3 of these. I'm going to give 3 of them away. The first 3 callers, I'm going to give you this knife because I put them on my desk during the holidays, and I said, well, what am I going to do with these? And I've got about 10 of our team here, 8 or 10 employees, so I'm sure they got their knives from O'Reilly Auto Parts because we're a good customer of theirs, and we buy a lot of parts from them. But I just thought it was kind of neat to have, and I said, well, I'll figure out what to do with these. So here we are, the first week of January of 19, and I've got them on my desk. So I'm going to give them away to you guys, you callers. Let me give you the numbers: 888 Car Clinic, 888-227-2546. And you can turn it down if you don't really have a need for it. There's a little clip on it where it can fits on your belt. It's spring loaded. It has a rubber or a plastic. It's some kind of a hard plastic grip, but it feels good. Feels like rubber, hard rubber. So I'm going to just give this knife away only because I thought it would be better to do than to leave them sit on my desk and hear it be. And July comes up on them, I say, what am I going to do with those knives? So I want to give away. Just make sure that you give Hannah your name and number so we can call you. And Miss Jan, who is our comptroller, and on Monday, she'll reach back out to you and give you a call and confirm your email address. So we do have, as it stands, four calls in. So now I didn't have time enough to tell you that there's a catch, and there's no catch really. It's the first 3 callers, but I would hope that you would have a car question for me as well, or just say hello on the air and where you're from. And it's okay if you're local or if you're in Washington State or New York or California. It doesn't matter to me. 888-227-2546. Anyway, I just would feel better. Makes me feel better to give these away than to let them sit on my desk. And I care nothing about the knives. I've got one at home that a friend gave to me for my birthday a couple of years ago. It's a Weatherford. Fabio, that's a big name, Weatherford, I think it is, and it's got Robert Likis on it, engraved, or how they put those on there, and I use that. I'll take that back. It's not a knife; it's a tool, one of those multi-point tools that you pull out of the scabbard, and you open up the needle nose pliers, and it has every screwdriver, and all that. And I can assure you, no matter who makes one of those things, that when you try to use it and try to close it back up, unless you use it every day, you're going to pinch your finger or something. I mean, every time I close it up, I say, oh God, I hope I don't hurt my finger here. So I'm just not one of those one-size-fits-all kind of guys, although I love tools. It's just my nature. We'll take a call from Matt, who has a question. He was first up from Pennsylvania. Matt, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
So I'm gonna put your. You got one of these, by the way. It's your gift. It's an O'Reilly Auto Parts keychain, a little rubbery thing that they're darn near indestructible. You've probably seen these before. Maybe not with O'Reilly Auto Parts on them, but it's kind of neat. I don't know what kind of rubber that they use, but you can pull on it and what have you. Well, I'm sure it's like a bungee cord, but tougher than a bungee cord, and then a knife. So, congratulations! I'm going to give you one of those.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. You have a question about your F-150, your 13?
Yeah, it's an EcoBoost engine, and occasionally, like just a random amount of time, and it happens whenever, no rhyme or reason, but like I'll get this like real rich, like pungent, like burning oil smell. And it lingers for a few seconds and goes away, and I didn't know if that's something you may have heard with the EcoBoost.
No, I have not. We have serviced, and we do service quite a few EcoBoost, and they're virtually bulletproof. They've really, Ford, that was a better idea, it turns out, that Ford came up with. So let me ask you a question. You're not talking about like an oil burning smell, with a typical valve cover leak or oil leak or that kind of. You're talking about maybe an exhaust odor.
I can't tell where it's from. Like it's strange. Like I seem to notice it more like if the car's been idling, you put it reverse and back up a little bit, and you just get this just this quick whiff of a burning oil smell, and it's one like I have never been able to stop and get out and like sniff around under the hood.
Yeah. Well, have you ever racked it and looked specifically and closely at the sides of the engine block and the front of the transmission? Where that, like a rear main oil would leak because rear main seals, catch the blunt of all oil leaks because everything runs down. Oil doesn't run up, it runs down and it collects. It'll drip off the bottom of the engine. The oil pan's leaking, and I can't tell you how many. On serious leaks, I can't tell you how many vehicles that we've had in here that people say, well, what are you going to charge to fix the oil leak? Well, you better be careful when you give someone an estimate to fix an oil leak, because the oil leak is a process. You stop the top leak first, and then, or you clean it depends. If it's really severe, you clean the engine and you put a oil dye in it, and then you use an infrared to determine the specific leak. Depends on the leak. So that's what I would do if I were you. I would look more closely for, have you seen any droplets on the driveway or garage?
No, and the engine, like everything's dry on it.
Yeah.
My main concern was if there was blowback through a turbo on it, because having two of them, that concerns me with a repair on one of those.
Well, if blow by any turbo, the main, well, when you think of turbos, the main issue with turbo would be an internal leak, and the internal leak would not be external, and nor would it really significantly create any smell. To answer your question, I don't know the answer to your question because I have not had that issue. It's possible. How many miles on your 13 F-150?
82.
And is this something that's cumulatively gotten worse, or how long has this issue been there?
I noticed it after the last oil change, and that's been 2.5 months, 2 months, and it's only been about 1,500 miles on that oil change. But
okay, I want you to review the engine block and where the oil, whenever oil filters loosened, oil runs down, it collects, and a minor oil leak will produce the same odor that you're talking about. And we just put a new engine in a Chrysler 300, a Hemi, and we had a power steering pressure O-ring seal. I mean, it was the size of your little finger. That was the culprit, and it was running down. And I drove this car, and I kept it for about a week after we finished it, and I kept smelling oil leak. I said, this engine's leaking oil. Anyway, to make a long story short, because the phones are jammed, we did find it was an O-ring, because ultimately, an engine that doesn't leak any oil and is bone dry will not have any odors, and almost the exhaust doesn't have any odors as well. So my first, if it started with the last oil leak, it could be where they changed oil and spilled oil on the chassis rail or the exhaust, and there's some there. So I want you to go back, even though you have looked before and it's dry and it's not dripping on the ground, so be it. What you're getting is, like, look for ring around the collar. Don't look for liquid oil running down. Look for oil that has been burned and dried, and you see the evidence of it. Okay?
Right. Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, and congratulations. We'll get back with you on Monday to send you your O'Reilly Auto Parts knife and keychain. And,
all right. Great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome very much. Take a call from Jeff, who is next up. Jeff, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. We have a hard break coming up, so if I have to cut you off in the middle of our conversation, no flame, no harm, no foul. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Hey, good morning, Bobby. Ironically, I was passing an O'Reilly Parts house when you were talking about the knife.
Well, this knife is really cool. I said, well, this is really great. I'd love to have this, but I'm not a knife guy, and besides, I've got 3 of them. So there's the break. I knew it. Fabio's always on time, which means I got to go. But you know what? I'll only be gone for 3 minutes. Then I'll be back, and we'll pick up with Bobby Likis Car Clinic. This Engine Care Spotlight is brought to you by Walker Products, a leading manufacturer of quality fuel system components and engine sensors. Today's vehicles are being pushed to new heights with increased fuel economy and fewer tailpipe emissions, which has created the need for a smarter and more sophisticated exhaust after-treatment system, featuring an array of sensors designed to help monitor and control the different aspects of vehicle operation and health. The EGT, or exhaust gas temperature sensor, plays a major role in multiple processes, and it's critical that the EGT is performing within their limits. But not all EGT sensors are created equal. Housing styles and materials vary, in addition to resistance types and temperature ratings. It's imperative that a consumer replace their EGT sensor with a correct OEM factory-style sensor. Walker Products has been supplying the automotive aftermarket since 1946 and manufactures all of its EGTs using only OEM-based sensors. Need a new sensor? Walker Products offers OE quality at aftermarket prices. Drive to walkerproducts.com. Berryman Products is celebrating their 100th anniversary, providing innovative products for the automotive aftermarket, like Berryman B60 high-mileage oil system rejuvenator, which cleans and protects the crankcase and engine oil system of all gas-powered vehicles, including those exceeding 60,000 miles. Berryman B60 high-mileage oil system rejuvenator conditions and revitalizes seals and gaskets to help stop engine oil leaks. It also helps prevent sludge formation to maximize engine performance and life. Learn more at berrymanproducts.com.
What 100-year-old automotive company makes dozens of products to extend your vehicle's life and improve its performance?
Let me see.
Which company uses high-energy solvent technology, or HEST?
It's on the tip of my tongue.
What company introduced B12 Chem Tool over 40 years ago? Still the best fuel system cleaner on the market?
Oh, don't tell me it's
Berryman Automotive Products. Correct. Berryman Automotive Products has lubricants, cleaners, solvents, hundreds of solutions, and every product all American-made since 1918. You'll find Berryman Automotive Products at AutoZone, Pep Boys, and Walmart. Now, why would you buy anything else?
Yep, you sure ask a lot of questions.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Telephone tip
from Geico Auto Insurance.
When calling Geico to switch your car insurance, you will not need acetaminophen, naproxen, indomethacin, ibuprofen, a cold compress, an on-call acupuncturist, or any other pain remedy. In 15 minutes, you could save 15% or more. If it were any more painless, you could do it in your sleep, which is theoretically possible since we offer complete 24-hour service. Call 1-800-947-AUTO, 1-800-947-AUTO. Geico Direct, the sensible alternative.
When you purchase the latest TV, tablet, or smartphone, don't forget to do the right thing with your old ones. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old devices as easy as buying new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find recycling tips, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Don't let your old tech tools clog your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Moving along, we got Jeff from Florida. Jeff, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Hey, thank you, Bobby. Bobby, I've got a 2006 model Cadillac XLR, and the electronics are doing strange things. It started off with a dead battery, and after disconnecting, upon repowering with a new battery, it was doing all sorts of strange things. And from what I've read, this car has about 28 different computer modules and takes a long time for everything to recommunicate. And I'm trying to determine if there's a certain amount of time that has to pass, or a certain amount of start and stop cycles, to where I know everything's fine. Because, for instance, there were times that car wouldn't start even if I put the key fob in the little pocket in the glove box, push the start button, and nothing would happen. Excuse me. And if I would turn it to accessory mode and then turn accessory mode off, the dashboard would tell me step on the brake to start, and without pushing the start button again, the engine would start. Now, it hasn't done that lately, so I'm trying to determine, is this car okay for me to get in the car and drive somewhere?
Well,
distance.
It's funny you should ask me this question. Ironic more than funny, because we had a 2.5 week or a month bout with that very automobile that not that very, but with 06 XLR that had a battery issue. The car was towed to us and would not start. We, of course, got it to start, and what we found was it had a defective body control module, or, Jeff, a damaged body control module. So, in fact, I personally got involved with this, and Johnny Bars, our master ASE shop foreman and lead technician, spent copious amounts of hours, and thankfully the owner was a good customer and very patient, and ultimately the body control module we put on that car was defective. We bought it from a local dealer, and the dealer replaced the body control module that we put on, but the dealer charged us $288 to replace the module that we bought from them that we sold to our customer. I mean, you go figure. I don't quite know how that works out, and I won't name the dealer, but I will tell you this. It wasn't the Cadillac dealer, but it was a General Motors dealer, because it's the same box as the Corvette. So the bottom line is, what you need to do is you need to have a shop that's familiar, reprogram the body control module or the other modules at large. And that's a service that we provide, we perform, we're familiar, but I will tell you, it ain't going to go away. It's possible that you've got an issue there, and I'm not soliciting I don't know where you live in Florida. Where do you live in Florida?
I live in Navarre, right down the highway.
Well, you might want to call and talk to Rusty on Monday, or call me back and talk to me on Monday and further the conversation. But I won't hold you any longer. And by the way, I'm going to send you or get back in touch with you on the O'Reilly knife and the keychain, which is really kind of neat. So I just said all that to say that I've learned my lesson on those vehicles. I literally got burned on one of those vehicles because I bought this part from GM, and that part from GM was defective, and the dealer replaced it, and they charged me $288 labor. I paid that. Not my customer did not, because he didn't go to the dealer. He came to me. Therefore, I'm responsible for the repair. That's just the way it should be. But I have to tell you, I'm going to be really cautious as to what we will do with regard to your XLR, but that can be a very testy beast. And so I just would advise you to, you might even do this. You might even disconnect the battery on the negative side one more time, reconnect the battery, and then let it start over its process and give it time and to maybe reboot. That's what I would do. You're not going to damage anything that hasn't already been damaged, and you're not going to change the situation. That's what I would do if I were you. And then otherwise, you call me or Rusty and back during the week, and we'll help you from there, okay?
Sounds good. Thank you, Bobby.
Thank you. Okay, and I know that Senator Jim from Nebraska is on, but we're going to go to Nadine in order. And then, Senator, we're going to come to you in Kearney, Nebraska. But Nadine, you are our third winner of our number 3 O'Reilly Auto Parts little knife. It's the neatest thing. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thanks for calling.
Hi.
Hi.
Well, I was wondering if you could help me with a problem of, well, it's not a problem anymore because it's been fixed. But
Okay.
I was wondering if there's something I could have done to get away from it. We have a 2014 Camry, Toyota Camry, and anyway, we always, every so often, we take it in for, oil change and tire rotation.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I had heard some kind of noise of the brakes, which I thought was brakes, and so we told them, just check it out and see if there's anything wrong with the brakes. So they did the tire rotation. They say brakes are fine. Well, we got it back, and it started making more of a noise. Another time I took it about 2 weeks later, they said, oh, there's nothing wrong with the brakes. So now it was getting really bad. I took it about 3 days ago and said, it's got a horrible noise when we back up. So the guy they looked at it, and they said, oh, yeah. They said one side froze up, and then we had to put in caliper. I think they said caliper.
Right, yeah, caliper. Yes, that makes sense.
Yeah, and all that, and it come to $600 and some odd dollars.
Yes.
And I said, oh, well, was there anything we could have done to prevent that? And he said, no, it just happens, And so,
and what is your and Miss Nadine? What is so your question to me is that could you make this happen, and why did it happen?
Yeah, or could we have helped it so that it didn't get so expensive?
Okay, yes, and yes and no. Answers it depends, and I'll make a short answer of this. When you depress the brake pedal, you push hydraulically under extreme pressure liquid into a piston that is analogous to a syringe, like you put medicine in your arm. That's the way brakes work. So when you push the plunger to inject meds into your arm, then that plunger travels down. It has a seal on it. It travels down the syringe, which is a tube that's really smooth on the inside, so that seal can push the med into your vein, right? Okay. All right. A brake piston pushes that, not med, but that brake fluid against the back of the pad and forces the pad against the rotor, and that stops your car. The friction stops your car. Well, the problem is, as the pad wears over time, as you know, 30, 40,000 miles, the piston doesn't come back, it stays out. And the more the pad wears, which is normal, the pad extends out and out and out. So ultimately, what you've got is, you've got the syringe that ends up all the way depressed as far as it will go, and there's no more fluid in there because it's pushed the piston all the way out. And so now think about this now. When you put new pads, you have to push the piston back up to give room for the piston to travel, right?
Okay.
So it's just like drawing blood now. Instead of pushing the needle in and pushing the plunger, you pull on the plunger and it draws blood out. Well, when you move the piston back, that caliper piston cylinder has corroded, and that seal rides over that rough part of that caliper and that debris and that rust, and it says, I'm seized here. And the only thing it will do is it will move toward the brake pad, but it won't move away from the brake pad because there's no reason for it to. There's no pressure. There's no vacuum pressure on it. So the more you push, the harder it seizes, and that's why calipers give. That's one of the reasons that calipers give problems. So I would say to you that there's nothing you could do about it except you can change brake fluid every 2 years to eliminate the moisture that accumulates in all brake systems, because brake fluid is hygroscopic, which means it absorbs moisture, and moisture in brake systems is a kiss of death and causes corrosion. So you can change, as you should, and everyone listening, if you've got a car that's 2 years old, you should change the brake fluid and have it purged and new brake fluid put in, because your fluid is contaminated as we speak, and it's especially true in my humid state of Florida, not necessarily in Colorado, or Nevada. So because the humidity is drier there. So that's what I have for you. Hey, congratulations. I'm going to send you, you're our third caller for the O'Reilly Auto Parts pocket knife. Well, it's not a pocket knife. It's a little miniature hunting knife. So I hope you can use it. If not, give it to somebody in your family that appreciates it. It's really neat. You can maybe keep the O'Reilly keychain yourself. Okay?
Okay, all right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I find your program very interesting.
Well, thank you. I appreciate your kind words. So from Nadine now to Senator Jim in Kearney, Nebraska. Well, Senator, Happy New Year to you.
Well, same to you. We all enjoy your show, and I talked to a lot of people about it. And I work at the Classic Car Museum in Kearney. So I'm Brad Koenig might fire me for not being there, because I'm about 5 minutes late.
Oh, you're playing
anyway,
hooky there. Well, I don't want to make you late, sir.
There you go.
Yeah.
No, you're fine. Yeah, say I call you so I can talk to your phone answer, Hannah. She's a nice lady.
Yes, she is.
Anyway, my question, I asked you this before, and I took it in to the Ram dealer, and when I touch my throttle with my right foot, and I touch my brake with my left foot, I get a flash on the screen saying, check electronic throttle, and the darn engine goes to idle mode, limp mode or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
And they told me that was normal. Is that normal?
No. Well, yeah.
Well,
let me ask you a question. How long have you had the vehicle?
Well, it's a 16.
And did it, we got this hard break coming up, so could I indulge you, Senator, and give me a couple of minutes, and I'll come back, just a brief. Stay with us, folks, and stay with us, Jim. We'll be right back. Talking tunes? No, not the ones on your radio, the ones that allow you to reprogram your vehicle's factory computer without even popping the hood. The result is more power, more torque, and a better overall driving experience. We recently sat down with Jim McGinn, Vice President of Marketing for Weathertech. Jim touched on some of the additional products Diablo Sport has to offer.
In addition to the Diablo Sport lineup of tuners, Diablo Sport also offers Jammer cold air intake systems and Hooker Blackheart exhaust kits. These kits work in concert with the Predator 2, Intune i3, and Trinity 2 programmers to deliver increased fuel economy, mileage, and overall performance for your gas truck or SUV.
Folks, Diablo Sports performance products make the perfect holiday gift, and now is a perfect time to buy with their holidays savings. How cool is that? You get up to 20% off SRP on their extensive lineup of premium performance products. Learn more at DiabloSport.com. That's DiabloSport.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
More than 1 million wild animals are killed each year illegally. Poaching is a major threat to our country's wildlife. I'm Tom Barry. I'm an actor with a desire to preserve living space for wildlife. The Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust does just that. Works with private landowners to protect wildlife, to preserve natural habitats. To learn more or to work with the Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust, call 800-729-SAVE. That's 800-729-SAVE, or visit wildlifelandtrust.org. Thank you.
Did you know 26 million Americans have kidney disease and most don't know it?
The day I was diagnosed, I didn't know what to do. I called the National Kidney Foundation, and the young lady who answered stayed on the phone with me and walked me through step by step. She too was surviving kidney disease, and she showed me there could be life after kidney disease.
Visit the National Kidney Foundation at kidney.org. Now you know.
We're a land of cynics. We don't believe anything anymore. You know why? Because we've been told we've won $1 million, that it's new and improved, that it slices and dices, that our favorite singer is still alive, that we'll be prosecuted if we cut off the tags, and of course that everything is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. So when we hear the words customer service, we don't believe it. Travelocity isn't surprised if you're a little skeptical when they say they have excellent customer service, and that there's actually a pleasant face behind this website, a living, breathing person with a supercharged computer full of answers. Someone who's willing to help when you get lost, and most of all, someone that will actually pick up the phone when you call with a question or a concern. Customer service is just another example of how Travelocity puts you in control of travel. Chances are you'll never have to use it, but it's good to know it'll be there if you need it. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. So, Senator Jim, here's the bottom line. Has this vehicle that you're driving, this 16 Dodge Ram, always had this issue when you left foot the brake and right touch the accelerator?
Yes, the first night I got it, well, I drove it to Kearney, and I happened to do that, and I thought, holy cow, this thing's stopping on me. But then it became such a customary thing. But the bad part about it is, Bobby, is when you do that, then the check engine light comes on, then the check engine light never goes off.
Well, well, the car is telling you that it has a problem, and why the dealer would not, I mean, there's a software glitch or some module that is incorrect, because I am a left foot, right foot driver. And I trained myself to do that, I don't know, years ago.
I did too.
You know, and I will tell you, from a safety standpoint, it has saved me, and I could think of one specific time that it was raining one night that I started to pull out and in front of this vehicle that wasn't in my lane, and I looked left, looked right, looked left, looked right, and I let off the brake, and the car moved forward, and I looked left again just for that last time, and that car was within 4 feet of me, and I was moving, and I jammed the brake on. Had I not had my foot on the left brake, I would have hit that car, and it would have been my fault. But that car was going faster than I thought. It was in Augusta, Georgia. It was in Augusta, Georgia, and it was after an 11-hour meeting with a colleague of mine who runs 3 service shops there. And I will tell you, it would have made for a very poor ending on my beautiful new car of a long, arduous day of automotive structure and talks and partnerships and what have you. But anyway, to answer your question is, you're going to have to get a second opinion. Somebody's got to step up, because that's not normal.
I was told that they do that, so you know what power braking is, don't you? Naturally.
Oh, naturally, sure.
Yeah, and they said they do that so kids or people don't do that and ruin the transmission or ruin this or ruin that or brakes or whatever.
Well,
and the bad part is, would that cause when the brake? Another question on that same line: when the check engine light is on, will your remote start work?
Well, it depends. The answer is that every manufacturer has their own programming. A remote. When you say remote start, you mean from outside of the vehicle?
Yes.
I dare say, my answer to that was my true answer is I don't know, but my gut answer is that it would not work, and here's why. We have had many Mercedes and Lexus cars that came in that had an STS light, SRS, a safety restraint system light. Gotcha. That would come on after the engine light, and here's just a brief reason why. Number one, the traction control and safety restraint system and ABS systems all use modules that depend on the engine's throttle to be controlled if in an event of wheel overspin. And by that I mean, if let's say you're on the ice or on snow and you're idling and you nail the throttle, well, your traction control system, even though you continue to hold the accelerator pedal to the floor, your traction control system is going to shut off the engine and close the throttle. but drive by wire, so that because that's what it's supposed to do, and until the wheel gains traction. And it's the opposite of brakes. The brakes do the same thing. When you nail the brakes and one wheel locks up, the ABS says, oh, you got a speedometer on each wheel, and it says the right rear wheel is locking up. Let off that right rear wheel. Well, the opposite is true for traction control. When you nail the brakes, you got one wheel spinning and the other wheels are not. It says, hey, that wheel is not supposed to be spinning. You can't stop the wheel. Well, it can. It uses the brake, but it also shuts down the engine. Having said that,
my engine will start and run for about 5 seconds.
Okay.
And it stops.
Then that proves that there's an issue there, a software issue. So in closing, Senator, when the systems see a check engine light on, even if you loosen the gas cap, then they are put in a position to where they can't depend on the engine control to shut down the engine. And so what they do is they hold their hand up and they flat it and say, hey, I'm out of here. Do not depend on me. So for everyone tuned in that has a Lexus or a BMW or a Mercedes specifically, and your check engine light comes on and your SRS light, doesn't mean you have a problem with both of those functions. It means that the SRS has checked out because it can't depend on the engine because the engine has a failure. So your problem of your vehicle could be that the brake system says, hey, I'm checking out here until your engine, until you're healthy again. But make no mistake about it, it's either a module and or a software issue, and someone needs to connect your 16 Dodge Ram to Chrysler Corporation, to Dodge Corporation, to their mainframe, which is an old way of saying, so you understand what I'm thinking, and see if there's a downloadable upgrade for your software. Someone has to get in there and do that, okay?
It says electronic throttle. Anyway.
Well, there you go.
Hey, I thank you for your time. I better get to the Classic Car
you
Museum
better.
in
Okay.
Kearney.
Well, you give my best.
Come and visit us sometime. Paul, remember Paul Kenny with CAFA?
Oh, sure. Oh.
Sure, and the Marshals, they're all good people. So we all work together to keep Kearney a thriving place.
Well, and you do a whale of a job as well. And hats off and a happy new year and a healthy and prosperous new year to all the Kearney group there and all the great farmland and the farmers that have made that place their home, and to the Central Nebraska Car Club and your organization as well, Senator. Great to talk with you again.
Yeah. And thanks, Hannah, for getting me in.
My pleasure, sir. Bye-bye now.
Okay, bye.
Well, there you have it. That's just another reason to tune in to Bobby Likis Car Clinic on Saturdays. And for as long as I take a breath, I've been asking, how long are you going to do this? I don't know. I mean, this is not work, right? Let's go to Missouri and talk with Fred. Fred, good morning. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Well, good morning. Glad I can talk to you today, Bobby. I've been listening to you for many years.
Well, what took you so long? Now you're on the air. So what can I do for you?
Well, I've been on the air before, but this is about my second time. I've got a 2003 Hyundai Tucson.
Okay.
And I've had the check engine light on for about 8 months. And before I buy a sticker to put over the light, I've had it.
I was thinking that.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you where you haven't put tape over it yet.
Yeah, I'm about ready to.
Don't tell me about that. Shame on you. But anyway, go ahead. You have it now.
Yeah,
you let the cat out of the bag.
Yeah, I did. Anyway, I've noticed I've had it diagnosed a couple times, and only by my mechanics that are at my oil change station. So it's not the most expert, but they've tried a couple of times, couldn't find anything. The last time they analyzed it, they said it was some dealer only sensor.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I have noticed is when it's cold in the morning, because I live about a mile from a highway from my house when I leave in the morning to go to work, while the engine is still cold and I get on the accelerator, I see a lot of smoke coming out the back end.
Right.
Mainly white smoke. I'm older generation, over 65, and this reminds me of the old carburetor when the choke was partially engaged and stuff. So I was listening today and thought maybe with 150,000 miles on this vehicle, I might have a minor leak, either an air leak, water leak, something in the manifold and that. My question was, would it damage my engine at all to try and do something a little bit cheaper initially before taking it into a Hyundai dealer, which the closest one's about an hour and a half away from me, to put in a treatment of K-Seal into the radiator or somewhere else, whatever you can recommend, that may seal any minor leak and therefore hopefully reset everything and get rid of my check engine light and correct the problem?
Well,
or am I just grasping at straws?
The short answer is no. There's no harm, no damage, and no side effects, negative side effects to the addition of K-Seal into any cooling system. But I have to go back to your original question. Are you having to add coolant to this vehicle? I mean, the white smoke that you see could just be condensation and vapors and not have nothing to do with what the problem is at all. Are you adding coolant?
No, I am not personally adding coolant. If they are doing it during a normal oil change, that I change my oil every 3,000 to 5,000 miles. If they are, it's very minimal. They've never mentioned that, so I'm don't think that. I was wondering if I may have more of an air leakage that might be mixing or contaminating my air fuel mixture or whatever. It was just a question.
Yeah, I got you. Well, it's a great question, and so to answer your question is no, you do not need to, nor should you add K-Seal because it's not needed. Although, as I've said, it's the #1 multi-purpose coolant leak repair in the world, and it's also approved by the ASTM D3147. I know that because it's the only standard for coolant stop leak products, and K-Seal is independently approved. Having said that, K-Seal is to be used to correct and fix a head gasket or a water pump or a engine block. I mean, it saves a lot of people a lot of money. In your case, it's not applicable. But
okay.
So I before you put tape or a sticker on that check engine light, you really run cold chills up me. I would.
Yeah, I know I do.
Yeah, I know you do. Yeah, you know me. So I would at least have one more shop to diagnose and to run a test on and scan the codes, and maybe even ask them to clear the codes, clear the check engine light, and then drive it and see what comes back on within the first mile or the first week of driving, because what happens cumulatively, you get multiple codes, and so when a technician goes in there. Oh, and by the way, folks, whenever somebody reads your code, please don't ask them to clear the code. If you intend to ultimately, and you will have to go to a shop ultimately, trust me, to fix your car, never clear the codes, because that's the medical records that you're clearing. So when a real technician, the ASE certified technicians like we employ and are part of our business, they're the core fixers of our business. When we get to a case, we need all of the history that we can get. And so the worst thing you can do is have a code read, then somebody says, oh, I can make that light go out. Well, yeah, then it comes back on, but you cleared out the codes. So you never want to clear the codes until they're recorded. And then once we record the codes, and getting back to you, Fred, we would, if we had, let's say, 11 codes in your little Tucson, we know that we figure that we wouldn't have 11 problems. So we would record those codes, and then we would clear them and then go drive the vehicle and see what happens. So that's what I want you to do. Have your shop record the code, and this is not expensive. You're not asking them to fix anything. You record the codes, you clear the computer codes, which you have to have the scanner to do that. Disconnecting the battery will not do that. And then you go drive the vehicle, and when the light comes back on, you go back immediately, and they see which code is fresh. You got it?
Yep.
That's what you do.
Good. Yeah, I have the personal code reader, and I clear it, but that's going to erase the history, like you said.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. You're one of those bad guys.
I don't want to do that.
No.
I've done it, and it comes right back on.
Well, the good news is there. The good news is there that you got some persistent issue, and And so if you have the ability, you should know what that code reads, and you should have that addressed by a local service shop.
Yep.
Okay.
That's what we're going to need to do. Okay, I appreciate it, Bobby.
I appreciate you, Fred, in Missouri. Thanks for calling. Folks, Bobby Likis Car Clinic has been brought to you in part this morning by the Car Care Council. And if you're traveling this winter, remember to follow the 3 P's of car care. What are the 3 P's? Prepare, prevent, and plan, which will save you money and avoid breakdowns. You can learn more at carcare.org. And while you are at carcare.org, I want you to check out the table of contents for a terrific service schedule guide that I personally went into yesterday. And I will tell you, it's even broader and deeper than I thought it was. And I made for me to share with you today just a little overview of the index. And I won't go into a long story here, but I will tell you that here is a free car care maintenance guide, and it's broken up in easy to understand English or Spanish, and it has the introduction and then engine and performance, oils, filters, belts, hoses, brakes, wheels, tires, check engine light, vehicle systems, emissions, engine cooling, engine exhaust system, and then it goes into car care and the environment, and then it has the extra mile, and then it goes so far as it on page 66, vehicle telematics that we were speaking of so in depth today with our friend from Daytona International Speedway, Terry Sabiston. So I want you to go to carcare.org and download your own car care guide. It's free, and you can do it electronically, so you can have it and read it at your leisure, which will save you money and help keep your car in your garage. Thanks for tuning in. Bobby Likis has been brought to you by Berryman Products. It is the B12 Chem Tool exclusive Hest Energy technology for repairs beyond your belief. I'm Bobby Likis. Likis, you'll love us.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
At O'Reilly Auto Parts, we promise you'll get better parts, better prices every day. Our stores are stocked with high-quality parts and accessories at guaranteed low prices, and our friendly, well-trained professionals are standing by to help. So stop in and see how 5 simple words drive everything we do. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Coolant leaks can be expensive, with repairs costing a few $1,000s or more. And these problems often hit vehicles late in life when they may be only worth a few $1,000s. There is an alternative. K-Seal is a pour-in solution designed to stop leaks and help prevent future leaks. Older sealers use sodium silicate, which has a tendency to clog the system. K-Seal features ceramic technology that's designed to repair the leak without clogging. Learn more about K-Seal at kseal.com. Don't just seal it, K-Seal it.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
If you're Rosie Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, Loden, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, it starts my morning. Happy morning, your name is Folgers Mountain Grow. Now you're here, your aroma helps me wake, and the day is mine to take. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
Let me know when you're ready.
All right.